Hey guys, Brett Morehart from Morehart Fitness. Today I'm just going to do a little video about squats. It's one of those major compound movements, meaning use a lot more muscles than just one. First things first, with my clients, I like to do a little bit of assessment just to kind of see how they actually squat without me having to tell them cues or anything like that. So I just get them to do a body weight squat. For example, I'm just going to kind of go down and do one. I would get them to do 5 or 6 depending on their ability, kind of just walk around them, check to see what's going on. Things that I'm looking for are if they shift a certain way, if they can only go down to a certain depth, if they're rolled a lot forward. All these things are, little weaknesses that we can fix, but it's a great first assessment. So in this video, for doing online kind of things, you can record yourself doing a bodyweight squat from all different angles, just so you can kind of see if you're doing yourself, if you don't have anybody to check in on you or a friend or anything like that. So you can just kind of record it and figure it out yourself. So as a new client, that's what we're going to do. If that person cannot even go down that low, then the next step or regression to the bodyweight squat would be like a chair or a bench. And just to see if they can come down, stop, come up. If they can pass that test, then see if they can hover just above, come up. Okay, so that's a nice basic way to do it. I've worked with some older people who even have a hard time getting out of the chair. So having a chair with handles is a great way to start as well, just to build up their strength so that they can actually use their arms, sit in their chair, and then progress their way up to not using their arms, into getting away from the bench, into body weight as deep as they can kind of go, and you kind of work it out that way. The other major thing here is trying to fix some certain things. A lot of times people just tend to be really forward. Most people can kind of do like a 90-degree-ish squat, but they end up getting really rolled over forward. Which could end up rounding the back and putting pressure in there and possibly leading to an injury over time, or just kind of feels uncomfortable. So a little trick would be the counterbalance squat. This would be the next thing. If they can kind of do a squat, but they end up being nice and like rounded forward, I like to grab a dumbbell plate. You hold it out in front of you to counterbalance the weight, so you don't have to compensate for being rolled over. Just kind of keeps your balance. So you're not like this, nice and tall, strong, coming up. That would be the next step. Once they can do that, you do that for a couple of weeks. They can hold the kettlebell out. They tend to build that strength so that they can actually be more upright in their squat. The next part from there, now they're kind of accessible to a squat. We can go into just goblet squat, which is a little bit closer to your body. So we had the counterbalance squat out here. Goblet squat is going to be closer to your center of mass, but still give you that little bit of balance forward so that you can be a little bit more upright. Work your way up to this. I like to get my clients to like the 40-45 pound range before we even get to a barbell squat. That way I know they can at least handle the weight. Once you get into that barbell squat, which is a squat that goes across your back, gets a little more intricate because you're going to put on more weight, so you're going to have to learn proper technique in that over time. So obviously you would start very, very slow in that and work your way through it. I could probably do some videos about that later on. I don't know how long this is going to become. So it's kind of just like a bunch of step-by-step little pieces of information. Another thing is going to be how to squat. I guess this is the very good question. A lot of people don't even know how they should stand or what to do. If you look it up in books, it's pretty much, or you've heard it from people. People that you talk to that are older are probably going to tell you that you're not supposed to squat, your knees aren't supposed to go over top of your toes when you squat. That seems to be a big common thing from anybody like before the 90s. That is false. Your knees can definitely travel over your toes. It's actually preferred for a better squat. The next thing is they like to say that your toes need to be shoulder width apart, toes straight, and then you try and squat. And that might be great for a skeleton and something that can just kind of move with bendy joints. But it's not one size fits all for any exercise, and the squat's not excluded from that. So for me personally, I have a very long legs and no torso at all. So when I have to get into my squat, I'm going to be way further forward like a book than people that have short legs and long torsos. I also have different hip mobility than other people. So if I try to do the textbook shoulder width apart, toes straight squat, that's it. That's all I can do. I can't go any further, no matter how much I try to press myself into the ground. What's happening is my femur, my leg joint, and my hip joints are hitting each other. So there's like an impingement there. They're actually clinking together. So for me, I can still be shoulder width apart, but with my toes straight, it's not opening up my hips so that it starts clinking. If I open up the hips, I can sink deeper and come out. But I actually prefer, more comfortable for me, is to be slightly wider, have my toes kind of pigeoned out like 15 degrees, and then I can really, this is like the comfort zone for me where I can hang out. The only way you're gonna figure this out is by actually trying it and seeing what feels comfortable. I like to also get clients to kind of go down into this frog pose. So now you're in internal rotation, which is exactly like your squat when you sit up and stand up. And you kind of feel it out. You can go wider, sit back, trying to get to like where you can be more upright in your squat, and now more upright towards the camera. Now I'm pretty much upright. This is kind of how my legs are sitting. So for me, if I put my hands down and just plot my feet forward, kind of put me in that position that felt comfortable, which I naturally want to do anyways. It's just a tip. That's the way I do it, but really it's going to be trial and error and what feels comfortable for you. Your body is different and it is a process, and just don't go too fast, too quick, where weights are forcing you into positions that you're not naturally going to go. But just another tip for you to figure out that squat pattern. As we get into the more heavier lifts in the squat, you're going to need to learn to activate your core. Bracing, that's what it is. It's like bracing your core, not activate your core. Because you can flex your abs. Someone says brace your core, or people just think to like flex the abs. And that's great, but like, what about my sides? Very, very soft. My back, very, very soft. So I like to tell clients as they start getting into the back squat with, getting to the 50 plus range. Not as much depending on the person, but once you're getting into triple digits, 100 pounds, it's definitely best to be working on that breathing and bracing. So what that means, flexing your abs, great. But everything else is soft like we previously said. When you're breathing into your bracing your core, you want to think about a pop bottle. Okay, you fill a pop bottle with air, put the lid on it, squeeze it, you can't get anything. As soon as you crack the top, you can squeeze that bottle, right? So essentially we want to do that with our stomachs and our body to produce as much stability and core stiffness as we can so that we can lift the heavier loads and be safer on our spine. So what that kind of looks like is if you stick your fingers into your sides, you want to start to breathe into the belly so it pushes out those fingers. So now it's as you can see, my stomach expanded out sideways frontwards. So now it's filled with air. now I can brace, now I can flex, and everything's hard, even including the back. This is all filled up with air. You can breathe into it and out of it with practice. I've been doing it for a while, so I understand. What this is doing is kind of like when you see people wearing the weight belts. The weight belt is just giving them, feedback as they're breathing into their belly, and it's expanding onto the belt. They're doing the exact same thing. And that's tightening everything up. Then they engage, then they do their lift. Okay, so super important thing to work on, especially if you're brand new. Might as well start early than be 2 or 3 years deep and start trying to do this. But even if you do and you figure that out, your strength's going to go through the roof. Just more focus in what we're doing. Lots of us just do nonchalant things. Just do a squat without even bracing your core or anything. And it's like, whoa, that's tough. You learn to breathe and brace, and it's like that. It gets really easy. And then other things that you do around the house and in life too as well. Become more aware of all those things. So that's a big one that takes a long time for clients to figure out, but once they do, it's amazing. Didn't know it when I was younger. I hurt myself a lot. It wasn't until the last decade where I kind of went to a powerlifting competition, was watching, and the guy was like, "Oh, you're pretty strong, but like you feel you're leaking so much energy." And he kind of explained it all to me, showed me how, and it was actually a game changer. My weights went through the roof, my bench, not just squats, bench, everything. Once you really figure out that, just creates stability and power.